In what ways does your media product use, develop, or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? Short Film Monopolize, our first part of our coursework, was to create a film and ours was based around the board game Monopoly. Genre for our choice was action, adventure, fantasy, a hybrid between the two, because it's a contemporary way to look at genre, and this is how a lot of filmmakers are. And this has widened our audience spectrum considerably because of the combination of two genres. Most contemporary films feature a hybrid. This reflects how filmmakers have adapted to keep the codes relevant and up to date. Elements that make my film consistent with the action-adventure genre could be seen in the fast-paced cuts. This adds a sense of excitement for audiences, and also these dramatise the running shots. Similarly, we've including two worlds which kind of can be viewed as the fantasy codes to our piece. Furthermore, the inclusion of special effects such as the dollar signs over the banker's eyes is a symbol of how tech has influenced genre codes in my film and in real films, as it can be seen as technology has advanced over the years. Short film conventions. Usually there are 2 to 3 main characters to allow the viewer to relate to the characters in a short period of time, as short films are obviously short. We have developed this as we have 4 main characters and 4 sub-characters. We have linked these all with the event of a birthday, because there's no backstory, because there's no time for that. So the birthday is an easy way for the audience to feel like they can relate to the characters in a short period of time. Also, a twist is a common convention of a short film, as it's where in a film there's something that unexpected happens and it grabs the attention of the audience and makes it more interesting and keeps them watching. We've used a normal shopping trip to show a normal sort of situation, and then this is contrasted with the fact that they're actually in a Monopoly world and the viewers find this out, and it's all very exciting. This keeps the interest of viewers and gives it that watchable quality that we want, and 12-year-olds for our target audience are obviously bored easily, so we want to keep them interested. Low budgets. Unfortunately, due to the size of the short film industry, budgets aren't really the millions that they are in Hollywood. We've used this convention obviously being on a student budget, so we've roped in our friends for actors who actually do drama, but the quality of the acting probably could have been better because of this. Todorov's theory. Todorov was a genre theorist, and his theory of equilibrium can mostly be applied to short films. Equilibrium is where there's a state of normality and everything's equal and everything's good and fine at the beginning of a film. We follow this as both groups, there's one group playing a game and one having a normal shopping trip. This shows that. Disequilibrium, as the name suggests, shows how the equilibrium is disrupted as a problem occurs. We've also followed through with this as, obviously there has to be a plot twist. Lucy disappears from the group and then the audience actually realise this film isn't just about a normal shopping trip. There's a new equilibrium in Todorov's theory reached as the problem is resolved and the new equilibrium is reached. However, we have actually decided to challenge this as our film ends on another twist where Aaron's in jail and it doesn't look like they're ever going to get out. That's how it ends. Settings. Settings in short films generally take place in one sort of setting as not to confuse the audience. However, we've decided to go against this because we do need, in an action adventure film, to show travel, obviously. In Monopolize, we've used Leicester Square, Oxford Circus, tube stations, various ones, and a living room of one of our actors' houses. We've used Oxford Circus and Leicester Square as obviously they're featured on the board itself. This provides a sort of authenticity to our film, which I think is quite good. The range of different settings allowed this, obviously. And this is very exciting as audiences can relate. Our ending. There's it's obviously a very big twist as the board is closing and nothing is resolved. And the audience are like, it's very tense as don't know what's going to happen. This follows the conventions of short films as it gives us a watchable quality to our film because we want to rewatch it to catch it out. Film poster. The film poster was our second part of our coursework. It's the most archaic form of film advertising. It's really always been used. It's the easiest way to reach potential audience members as it's very visual, everyone can see it. Teaser posters are commonly used for real action-adventure films, so like ours. This is why I decided to use this. Familiar artwork is used, so Batman with the bat symbol, and then it's recognisable to specific audience. This is suspense building, and I have followed this convention. I used a black stencil of the banker from the original Monopoly board, and this obviously the audience can recognise from a mile off. Colours and fonts. Usually in short films they keep these quite simple, but they usually reflect this film genre, so sharp is like maybe a thriller because it's thrilling. I've also followed this because I tried to replicate a font so it was red, bold and squared like the normal from the board game. The third part was my magazine review. Film reviews in general are featured in specific magazines that cater to films. So examples could be Empire, Entertainment, Total Film. These are totally dedicated to film. There's a tagline featured in these are conventions to sum up the interest of the reader, and there's a still from the film as the header to familiarise the reader and want them to read it. There's an overall opinion as journalists give good and bad points but conclude as well. There's a rating, popular choices are stars, scores, and readers easily understand general. Little White Lies is a film magazine targeted at a niche audience whom are all film fans. I have based my magazine review on their reviews. Typical conventions the language features puns and remarks to give a humorous sort of feel to it, and formality of it is the language is formal but there's a sense of informality to engage the reader. Rhetorical questions engage the audience and they're used quite frequently in their reviews. There's a special rating system which rates the anticipation, enjoyment and obviously in retrospect. This is scored quite harshly for their reviews and it ranges from 1 to 5. I incorporated each of these as our task was to replicate a review for Little White Lies about our film. For example, I began my review with a rhetorical question. I also used humour to satirise my target audience with much like the average teenager. I used the pen and ruler tools on the Photoshop to make the structure of the review sort of like Little White Lies. And that's the end.